So good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee's Sunday morning Zoom live streaming service. I'm Reverend Pam Bramman. I'm the senior minister here at the center. And we like to remind everyone that our center's purpose is love. Our vision is embracing all while awakening to the one. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. We know that there are many paths to God, but they all end in oneness and in love. We're grateful that each of you is here with us this morning. We begin our service with the receptivity statement that you're going to see on your screen. So if you would read along with me, everyone muted except for me. I am here by divine appointment. Something I am about to hear applies to my life. I am open, receptive, and willing to explore the possibilities. So our musicians today have traveled a very long way to be with us. They're Jenny and Jesse from the Dead Winter Carpenters. Normally they're in North Lake Tahoe, but this morning they're hailing from Vermont, where they're sheltering with family. And their band, the Dead Winter Carpenters, has a reputation for pouring their heart into and soul into every performance, and I know that they will this morning as well. In just a few years, they positioned themselves as, according to the Portland Metronome, as at the forefront of a youthful generation trying to redefine what string music is and what it can do. And I think we'll hear that as well. Like many of us, Jenny and Jesse and their band are anxiously waiting for the COVID pandemic to subside so they can return to the road and share their talents and enthusiasm with an in-person audience. So this morning, though, we get to enjoy their live performance here for our center. So help me welcome Jenny and Jesse.
They met up down on Main Street at the old Red Dog Saloon way back in the spring of '74. They spent late nights cruising back roads in his Pontiac GTO. Little did he know she'd be his cornerstone. Her first was born in a snowstorm on a brisk October day, way back in the fall of '79. The second one came in the summertime of 1981. Little did they know she'd be their cornerstone. Cornerstone, cornerstone. Mama, she's the strongest rock of all. She'll smile again. Shining in the light of a harvest moon, wrapped up tight in the arms of her groom. Her light will never fade, this I know. When it's time for her to fly way back home, my cornerstone. She was blessed with 3 grandbabies that loved her oh so well. She always gave him all the time she could to teach him all the good things, and especially how to love. Little did they know she'd be their cornerstone. Cornerstone, cornerstone. Mama, she's the strongest rock of all. She'll always be there smiling. She'll always be there smiling, my cornerstone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So this leads us into our time when our practitioner is going to have our invocation and a special reading. Our practitioner today is Carol Dalbon. Carol is always one of our center's practitioners who's the first to respond whenever anyone requests prayer, like last night when one of the grandbabies was in the hospital, doing very well this morning, we hear. So Carol also leads the practitioners' online meditation every other Tuesday morning for us. And one of her lesser known contributions is that she helps to schedule our guest musicians, and some of them take quite a bit of tracking down, and Carol's very persistent. So we're also blessed by Carol's contributions to our center in many other ways as well, and the office and just about anything. So, but as today's practitioner of the day, she'll be available after the service for a prayer session if you put a request in the chat. And she had a wonderful meditation this morning. So please help me welcome Carol to provide this morning's invocation.
Thank you, Pam. Welcome, everyone. And thank you, Sage. I saw your little message. So we start this morning's service by recognizing Spirit. Spirit forever there, available to all. This loving presence that we can rely on anytime. I know that this presence is within me right now, waiting to be activated, waiting to respond to its peace and tranquility, to its love, to its joy, wisdom. All of these attributes are just waiting for me to take them on for myself. So when I set my intentions, I can be sure that I am being supported full-heartedly by God. And I know that God responds to everything we think or say, and that our prayers do not go unanswered. So I know, for instance, with little Max, Nancy's grandson, that he received the prayers that we all sent, and that he is doing well and going through the baby stage that some babies go through, just growing up. And so I know that our center is blessed by everyone here in attendance, by Reverend Pam and Reverend Rick, and our musicians, Jenny and Jesse, and anybody else who's been involved with this service, and always consistently being here, supporting our center, even when we are on Zoom. So I'm grateful knowing that we are able to carry on our services, Sunday special services, plus other activities that you'll hear about later. So I'm in gratitude knowing this is all true for everyone here. And I say, and so it is. The inspirational reading this morning is from the Science of Mind textbook, and it's on page 146. and it's called The Power Within, which relates to Reverend Pam's talk this morning. Through spiritual discernment, we see that we have within us a power which is greater than anything we shall ever contact, a power that can overcome every obstacle in our experience and set us safe, satisfied, and at peace, healed and prosperous in a new light and a new life. If God be for us, who can be against us? God's creative power of mind is right here. We have as much of this power to use as we believe in and embody. The storehouse of nature is filled with infinite good, awaiting the touch of our awakened thought to spring forth into manifestation in our lives. But the awakening must be within our thought. The word that we speak is the law of our lives, and nothing hinders its operation but ourselves. We may use this creative word for whatever purpose we desire, and this word becomes the law unto the thing for which it was spoken. We are given the power to sit in the midst of our lives and direct their activities. Strife and struggle are unnecessary. We only need to know, but we must know constructively. Just so far as we depend upon any condition, past, present, or future, we are creating chaos, because we are then dealing with conditions, effects, and not with causes. Could we but comprehend the fact that there is a power that makes things directly out of itself by simply becoming the thing it makes, could we but grasp this greatest truth about life and realize that we are dealing with a principle scientifically correct and eternally present, we could accomplish whatever it is possible for us to conceive. Life externalizes at the level of our thought. And then I'd like to invite Jenny and Jesse back again.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's a nice, soothing song for this morning. And we're one of the spiritual practices that we're we use a lot in the Centers for Spiritual Living is visioning. And having that soothing music is kind of sets the mood for doing something like that and feeling in that flow. Not only is visioning an amazing process, but it has given me vision to navigate some of the biggest life transitions that I have been through. When we don't know which way was forward, which way's back, which way's up or down, or even what are we looking for, visioning has a way of helping us to be open to new possibilities. We're spending the entire month of March on visioning. And so today we're talking about the basic visioning process and living in the question, what is Spirit's highest vision of itself as me? Next week we'll be talking about what we need to release so that we don't hamper our vision or our ability to manifest that vision. The third week we'll be talking about what we need to embrace to embody that vision. And then finally, the last week of March, we'll be talking about the importance of being willing to commit to the divine vision and our own transformation so that we can go beyond our safety zone and be part of something bigger than ourselves. So, visioning is an integral part of the CSL Declaration of Principles of what we believe. And one of the stanzas says, we believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. Direct revelation is so empowering. We are hearing directly from Spirit, from the One, from the infinite wisdom of the universe, what is ours to do, what we need to see at this moment in time. I remember a time when I went on about a 10-mile backpacking trip. We were going up and down the mountains. It was beautiful terrain. But after a while, I was ready to reach our destination, to set up our tent and make dinner before it got dark. And looking up the mountain, it looked like we were getting close. We're almost there. I was getting really hungry and tired. And then the trail started turning away from the peak that we were headed towards. And the trail just seemed to go on and on and on. Well, finally we came to a clearing and we saw that that trail was winding around a really deep ravine, maybe about 1,000 feet deep. So even though our path was going to be longer than just going straight towards that mountaintop destiny, we would also save ourselves going down 1,000 feet into the ravine and up on that other side with our heavy packs on our backs. Now, there was a time when it would have been nice to be able to fly up to maybe 10,000 feet or maybe even 30,000 feet, and we could see exactly what that terrain looked like, right? We could see, oh, there's a ravine. It's obvious this is the path to take. And instead, we were limited to what we could see in front of us. And this is what we can see with our finite minds. The infinite mind of God can see everything, everywhere present. From God's viewpoint, it would be like seeing on a topographic map that we had with us, and we kept pulling it out, and some of the people in our group didn't quite believe it. Oh, we need to go. Well, we found out that it was right. But what if we could directly access the one mind, the infinite mind that is all minds, right? Just by going within. And this is direct revelation. This is what we can do with visioning. Now, another really important thing about direct revelation, the way that we talk about it in Science of Mind, is that we do not believe that you need any intermediary to filter information from Spirit or from God. Now, there's many people that have grown up in a religious practice where they needed a priest to be able to tell them what God was saying. The regular people just, you won't understand it, right? But we don't need an educated theologian or a philosopher or it is helpful to have a guide, though, help us through that process to connect to God, and also to help us learn to follow the spiritual principles and practices like meditation or visioning that align our conscious awareness with God. These are all very helpful to know. But once we do make that connection, as long as we are willing to listen and get our bloated egos out of the way, as Ernest Holmes has said, we can become directly aware of divine guidance. And this is direct revelation. From the reading that Carol shared with us this morning from Ernest Holmes from the Science of Mind textbook, he said, through spiritual discernment, we see that we have within us a power which is greater than anything we shall ever contact, a power that can overcome every obstacle in our experience. You see, power comes as we envision the highest possibilities, believe they are possible, and then embody that possibility as who we are. Then the whole universe conspires for our good to bring it about. Because that vision is Spirit's vision of itself expressing as of our life. If God is for us, who could be against us? Think about that. The infinite is expressing itself as us. Now another quote from Ernest Holmes. God's creative power of mind is right here. We have as much of this power to use as we believe in and embody. The storehouse of nature is filled with infinite good, awaiting the touch of our awakened thought to spring forth into manifestation in our lives. So we're the one that's controlling how much of that power we have access to. It's from our beliefs. And having that access to that level of power is like heaven on earth, really. It's discovering our true nature as an expression of spirit and living it. Right? Now we believe that heaven is within us, is from our, again from our Declaration of Principles, and that we experience it, or heaven, to the degree that we become conscious of it. Right? Heaven is not some faraway place that we go to when we die, hopefully, but it is heaven right here on earth that we can experience. Our job is to stretch our consciousness, align our consciousness with the divine, and then vision from this one mind, right? Not from our finite mind, but from the infinite mind. Recognize, then, the steps would be to recognize first that God is all there is, infinite, everywhere present, and then unify our self-awareness with that one mind to a state of being where we are truly get it, that we are one with God, and that God is expressing itself through us and as all of creation, right? Everywhere present. Now, how many of you have ever participated in a visioning process before? Raise your hand. We did one as a congregation last November, and it was pretty amazing the kind of results that we had. But when we're going through visioning, the egoic mind always wants to know everything. So it discounts anything new, that it doesn't agree with what it already knows. It has lots of excuses why we should ignore what comes through in visioning, like, that can never be done. Too big. Too risky. It makes no sense. You will fail. Watch out. Or you could never get anyone to support that. You just don't have what it takes. Ego's got all kinds of excuses. It just runs down through the list until it finds one that we say, yeah, you're right, and give up. But are you asking for what you want, or for what the infinite divine possibilities are based on who you are, an expression of God? That's totally different level. Looking outside of ourselves in the material world for the answers can limit our vision. Limiting beliefs of anything, especially expecting the past to always repeat itself, can obscure our vision. Robert Browning, in his poem Paracelsus, says, "Truth is within ourselves. It takes no rise from outward things, whate'er you may believe. There is an inmost center in us all, where truth abides in fullness." And that we can always rely on, that still small voice of God within us. It probably dates us, but I remember there was a show called "And Now for Something Completely Different" by Monty Python. And it was completely different. It was hilarious. And it transformed comedy on the TV for many people. But I think one of the biggest transformations for me was when Star Wars came out in the spring of 1978. Movies have never been the same since. I remember, it was normal now, but it was so revolutionary. There was a day after school, it was in the spring of 1978, and I left school, the second class was out, got on the subway. We were living in Cambridge outside of Boston, and we got down to the Cinemax to see it in downtown Boston, and we were about an hour and a half early for the movie, for a matinee, and it was already backed up. We were some of the last people that got into the show that day, but it was worth it. It was so revolutionary. I was just amazed of what they could do. There's another antidote when we come up with limiting beliefs, and that is to cultivate curiosity as a way of being. That is living in the question, what is Spirit's highest vision of itself as me? The Center of Spiritual Living, Tahoe-Truckee, is going through our Good to Great process to envision what is Spirit's highest vision of itself as our center. Now, I went through a similar process when I was at the Center for Spiritual Living in in Ventura. And there was a Saturday afternoon. There was about 35 or 40 people gathered in the basement meeting room, and we went through this great visioning process. And so what I saw was this beautiful vision of this big easy chair centered within a very large, big pink heart. The chair was upholstered in a soft woven fabric of purple and green. It felt so cozy and comfortable when I imagined myself sitting down in the chair and started meditating. At the time I was still grieving the death of my first husband, who had died about 4 years before. And sitting in the middle of that heart represented the center for me, and its people loving me as my heart healed. The purple represented service, and the green represented renewed life, two colors that had been significant to me for several times in my life. And then the strangest thing happened in the dream, in that vision. I was lifted up and out of the chair and sent out into the world. Now, at the time, I interpreted the vision to mean that I would be part of the center's outreach program to connect with people and organizations in the community. It was a wonderful vision, but it didn't match anyone else's vision there. How could that be? When we did the visioning for our center in November, the vision statements demonstrated a lot of coherence and similarities. It was amazing how much they matched. Well, we were all seeing the same thing from a different perspective. And at CSL Ventura, everyone else's visions, they also matched. I was the odd person out. But the vision was very clear. What did it mean? Well, about 6 months later, I became reacquainted with Michael Bramman, who lived in Orange County, California, and had been widowed himself a year earlier. Michael started visiting me regularly, and we even thought that he might move to Ventura and live with me. But what eventually happened, though, was that I had moved to Orange County, a place where I had vowed that I would never on my life move there because I hated it so much. But my heart fell in love, and I followed Michael to Orange County. And so that heart healing me is what lifted me up and out of my comfortable, cozy spot in Ventura to Orange County. And just like in my vision, my heart took me there safely. We ended up at the In-Spirit Center for Spiritual Living, where I reactivated my practitioner license and began my path to ministry. I was the one going out in the world to serve in that vision, not everyone else at Ventura CSL. So when you vision, that what you see, if you're willing to get yourself out of the way, is always accurate. It's our interpretation might fall short, but the vision is clear. It was completely unexpected, but it was the divine's highest idea is my life. Michael Beckwith has written a wonderful book on visioning. I don't know if you can see this here. Yeah, there he is. And it's called Life Visioning. And he says, when your thoughts and actions begin to align with the imperatives of your soul, You enroll the full support of the universe. Unimagined possibilities begin to open up as you synchronize with the divine. Right? We get out of our small world and into that greater world. Another person speaking about vision or dreams is James Allen in his book, As a Man Thinketh. He said, "Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. Dreams are the seedlings of realities." In Science of Mind, we call that creating your mental equivalent that is outpictured in the mirror of our lives. Now, this visioning process is not just about our own personal life and manifesting our personal desires. It's also about the collective evolution of humanity. We are here to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. As part of the CSL Global Vision, we say we see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. Just think of that. Imagine a world where everyone, not just you and me, live in alignment with the divine's highest possibility of itself expressing through us. What an amazing world that would be. The synergies that could happen. A world where all people, all parts of God are working and living together in harmony to make this world a better place. This is the highest state of consciousness and action that can heal and transform the world. Right? In his book, The Mystic Heart by Wayne Teasdale, he says, "Spirituality serves our greatest single source for changing our centuries-old trajectory of violence and division. Spirituality is profoundly transformative when it inspires us the attitude of surrender to the mystery. The mystery, we don't know where it's taking us, but Spirit knows the answer. This is the profound shift in consciousness that is required to heal our world, shift the trajectory of our collective evolution. As we each learn to listen to the voice of Spirit within us, we can turn the page together and begin a new chapter where we reverse the pattern of violence that seems endless, locked in by fear. A vision of trust and love requires a willingness to let go and let God lead us forward. You know, it's the same for ending the cycles of systemic racism, of political parties focusing not on what divides us, which they're locked into doing right so many times in their silos, but instead focusing on what unites us, which is mostly the joint survival of humanity. That seems to be the most important thing, right? A new chapter where we can slow down and reverse climate change. All of these things are imperative. This is the vision of oneness. Our collective humanity expressing the love and the harmony and the highest possibility of the divine. This is the path to realizing heaven on earth. It's not just a pipe dream, but this is the reality of who we are. It's only our fear that keeps us from experiencing it. It takes a lot of courage to trust the unknown. But it begins when you and I open our hearts and are willing to listen to Spirit and follow Spirit's guidance and vision to new possibilities. When we do, we will be able to embody Spirit's highest idea of itself. And we will allow humanity to experience its highest possibilities. Let's take this to prayer. The universe is vast. Every direction I can imagine, at its farthest point, it is even farther, for it is infinite. And yet, at the same time, it is one. It is whole. It is integrated together. It lives in peace with itself and with each part of us, because each one of us is an expression of that one life. We are an expression of love, of that unity, the diversity within the unity. And so in this moment, I relax and let go, and I open my heart to that divine love, to trust and know that I am loved completely just as I am. I know that my every breath, my every thought, my every movement is Spirit expressing itself in me, through me, and as me, and in you, through you, and as you. In this moment, I release my ego's desires, and I ask Spirit the question: what is Spirit's highest idea of itself as my life? And I listen. As I am still, just breathing in and out, in harmony with the universe. What is Spirit's highest idea of itself as my life? Where am I? What am I doing? Who is with me? I let go of any preconceptions, and I let Spirit's most fanciful, most loving, most enduring idea for my life come to my conscious awareness, to work its way up to that surface. Whatever images and thoughts and feelings come to my mind, I accept them without judgment and allow them to be. I know and trust that their meaning will be revealed to me clearly when I am ready to understand and take action. I love the feeling of being in harmony with all of life, with the one. Life is so good. Thank you, God. Thank you. I let go and I let God. I let this vision manifest. And I know that all is well. And from this moment of knowing deep, abiding peace, of wholeness, of love that fills the universe and my own heart and my whole being, all is well. And so as I slowly come back to this room, to the present moment, I feel the shift that has begun. Life is different. My vision is different. I am different. I feel the alignment with the divine. How glorious it is to be alive, to be a part of the one, to feel fully alive, to be part of the individual and collective evolution of humanity, expressing the highest and best for all of life. Thank you, God, for this vision, for this moment, for this clarity. And so it is. And so from this moment of clarity, I invite Jenny and Jesse to share with us one more song.
Dance with the boys from the city, but they don't care to dance with me. Well, it ain't my fault that the fields are muddy and the red clay stains my feet. Well, it's under my nails, it's under my collar, and it shows I'm Sunday clothes. Though I do my best with soap and water, that thing don't harvest in summer, and it rolls in crimson tide. Till the leaves and trees and the cows are the color of the dirt on the mountainside. Oh, but when I pass the pearly gates, my gown will be gold instead of just red clay robe and red clay wings and a red clay halo for my head. Now the Jordan's banks are full and they're muddy, and the rolling water is wide. But I got no boats, so I'll be good and muddy when I get to the other side. Oh, when I pass through the pearly gates, my gown will be gold instead of just a red clay robe and a red clay wings and a red clay halo for my head. I'll take the red clay robe and a red clay wings and a red clay halo for my head.
Thank you so much. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready for it to be summer and COVID to be over, and put on my dancing shoes and meet everybody out on the beach with a little music from the Dead Winter Carpenters. So there. I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So maybe in June we can open up if everyone's vaccinated and safe, and life will work its way back to normal. So. But now is our time when we come into our prosperity time for our center on Sunday mornings. And so if you would see, we'll have our prosperity affirmation. If you would read along with me, everyone muted except for me. I gratefully and joyfully share my offering, which flows from God, my infinite source. My gift blesses this center and all who are guided, healed, and empowered by its activities. All I share with life returns to me, blessed and multiplied. As the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee, we know that God is our infinite source. And our teachings tell us that Spirit works through us, through that vision, and it has to act through us. We are the arms and hands of Spirit, bringing forth the divine blessings into the world. So by sharing your gifts of time, talent, and treasure with our center, you support our mission to provide the spiritual food that supports our community and allows us to be here for each other during this COVID time and in the future. We have some great ideas coming up. We have our song we'd like to share with Karen Drucker. I am so blessed. Rick, I think we need some sound.
Terribly sorry. Operator error there. Let's get it fixed.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so.
And so as we hold our gifts or a thought of our gift over our heart. We know that these are all gifts from God, from that infinite abundance that flows everywhere through the universe and through our lives and through the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee. In that law of circulation, as we give and receive, we rejoice in the action of Spirit, the love of Spirit, the joy of Spirit that is working through our center. And in this moment, we are so grateful. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. And so it is. All right. So we've been going through our pledge program, and we're our annual time for our members and friends to renew their partnership with the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee. And when you make a pledge to our center, we're hoping everyone will turn in their pledges, you do several things. First, you recommit to co-creating with God and your fellow members, partners, the ongoing dynamic life of our center and supporting us. Together we can keep the doors open, expand our programs and services, and bless and serve hundreds of people in our larger community. Second, you express your gratitude for the important difference that belonging to the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee as your spiritual center has made in your life. Sage shared with us last week in her testimonial the difference that it has made for her and her two kids to be a part of our center. And you know, I think there wasn't a dry eye in the room, I know from me. And this year we've played a valuable role to support everyone during this pandemic. And you know, while we've been sheltering in place, but we've at least had our community here online, and we've helped some people become computer enthusiasts that never thought they would be in their wildest dreams, right? And I know this year that we've also experienced that warmth and love that the CSL members share with each other. You know, a phone or Zoom conversation or class has brightened my day many times, so I have not felt alone. 2021 is going to be a really exciting year, full of new growth and opportunities here at the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee. We're going to be able to open our doors, hopefully by June, and we will be implementing our congregation's good to great process and the strategic initiatives that are coming out of that process. We have our annual meeting on March 21st, and we, you know, the board and the practitioners and some of our other leaders have been working on coming together with our, what we call our BHAG, our Big Hairy Audacious Goal, about who we are, and we will be presenting that. And it's some amazing things. It's a rebirth of our center, we believe. And so we're hoping that everyone will be there. We want to put together the budget before we have that meeting, so we hope everyone will submit their budgets, their pledge as soon as they can. We have a slide here of our progress that we're making so far, and we have a goal that we'd like to have $76,000 in pledges. Now that, remember, that's a little bit of a stretch over what we did last year, but we have all these great ideas of things that we want to do, and so we'll support those. We're about halfway there now, so we really need everyone to get in their pledges. And if you need a new one, call us. We'll be glad to send you another one. But we have these ideas for holiday and music events. Our musicians, we want to have them not just on Sunday, but have some special events. We want to have Tahoe retreats. You know, we have this wonderful, beautiful place that is Tahoe in nature, and we're going to combine that with our spiritual practices. One of the big things we're underway right now is upgrading our website. It's really looking fantastic. That should be coming out maybe even before the end of the month. And then from that, we can also capitalize on social media even more to reach an audience and let them know what we're about. Rick has been putting on wonderful events on services on Wednesday night with a very heartfelt discussion, and we want to jazz it up a bit by bringing in some hikes and things like that, so it'll be a full event that no one will want to miss and take advantage. And I think whatever that last thing was on the screen there, Anyway, so we've got all
It
these
was youth, about our youth program.
Oh, the youth program, of course. So this is the future. This is the present. This is how we're going to be part of changing the world. Because we know that when we had our Christmas Eve service, we had 11 kids show up to light their candles and be a part of the future. And so we want to have a program for them and for the teens, right? So far we're about halfway to our 776,000 in goals. And each person's pledge, big or small, makes a difference. We want to increase, not decrease, the programs that we're offering. And some of the growth areas we've talked about. We also hope that everyone who can will increase their general fund pledge this year compared to last year, because every dollar increase will be doubled up to $5,000. We've had Michael Bramman's made a wonderful pledge of $5,000 additional grant he'll be giving, and we've got $4,000 in increased pledges from people year over year of what they have. So we only have $1,000 to go. So every person that increases their pledge over last year, even if it's just $5 or $10 a month, that will make us a difference so we can reach that goal and capture those extra gifts that we've been promised. So we're asking you to pray on the value and the benefits that you receive from the Centers for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee, and then fill out and return your pledge card. We're grateful that you want to be a part of the center, that you're here with us this morning. We know that you are blessed, and we are blessed by your presence, by your generosity, and all of us together at the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe. It's all spirit. Thank you so much. Now, if you are a first-time visitor, and I think we have at least one this morning, we want to welcome you here and thank you for spending your time with us. If you leave your email address or phone number in our chat, we'd be glad to send you our wonderful newsletter that will let you know all of the activities that are going on in our center, and we can get to know you a little bit better as well. But for all discussion of all the other things that are going on in our center, I'd like to welcome our Associate Minister, Reverend Rick Carney.
Thank you, Reverend Pam. You're right, there is a lot going on in our center. It's almost hard to keep up with some days, but I did want to share with you and all others the fact that we record our sessions here on Sunday, and for special events, we have one such recording to share. I'll mention that in a minute, but you can always find our recordings either on our website or on Facebook. The links are in the weekly newsletter or on our website itself. Well, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about today was next week, Reverend Pam is back to go into the second of the talks about being open to possibilities and God's vision for us all. Our music will be by Jim Eaglesmith, who is coming to our center in order to play, and I'll be the practitioner. This is the last possible moment to register for the online workshop facilitated by Dr. Court Curtis, called The Stain, called Forgiveness. He does say this has to be the chance for those who perhaps could not be there last week to join, but this is the last opportunity. So please call or connect with the center in order to get registered and to get the Zoom link for that on Monday evenings. This Wednesday, since this is Women's History Month, I thought it'd be nice to go back and visit one of the early women in our movement, someone you don't hear much about. Florence Scoville Shin was a writer and artist who produced very popular books in the early 1900s. It was the way that she wrote that appealed to so many people that it enabled our movement to grow exponentially during that time. But yet we don't know much about her. We don't talk much about her. Let's get together on Wednesday and I'll share what I've discovered. Oh, I mentioned special events. One of the special events we had this past week was the film premiere of Walking with My Sisters, produced by our friend Emily Tessner. It tells a story of the Native American peoples living in Olympic Valley and what really happened to how people refer to it as Squaw Valley, and why the Squaw Valley Ski Resort has made the decision to change their name. So check out that video. The link is not just here on the slide, but it's also in the weekly newsletter. I invite you to check it out. Coming up after service today is the first of two member classes called Discovery Class. We learn a little bit about the science of mind, and next week you would learn about what it is to be part of the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee. If you wanted to drop in and refresh your memory on things, this is a great opportunity. Or if you're ready to make that step into membership, please do take part. Coming up in just two weeks, our membership meeting. This is a once-a-year event where you hear about our accomplishments of the last year, our plans for the coming year, and then vote on members for the Board of Trustees, the Leadership Council, if you will. So please make plans to be there on the afternoon of Sunday, March 21st. Also coming up, this will be next month, but it's the Saturday just before Easter. Our Easter egg hunt is taking place in the center parking lot and in areas around the center. We invite you to bring the children. There'll be food and fun for all. So bring the kids or come watch the kids. See you there. Also want to tell you that in the past week or so, higher priorities have taken precedence in the work that we do. And so this online class survey, though delayed, will be out this week. Be on the lookout for that in your email. This is your chance to say what types of programs and classes you would love to see us put on in 2021. So take the time. It's about 5 minutes to fill out the survey. Lastly, just to sum it all up, there's something going on at CSL Tahoe-Truckee nearly every day of the week. The one thing I need to point out here is that Ned DeAntios has decided to move his program, A Course in Miracles, to a different platform. And so if you choose to be part of that, I encourage you to check with Ned to get the link and materials that you will need. With that, I turn the microphone back over to Reverend Pam.
Thank you, Reverend Rick. So we have one of the very important things I always want to remind everyone about is our practitioners. And so if you would like a prayer, they would love to pray with you, either right after service or you can give them a call. And so if you would raise your hand, if you're, we have Shirley Clark that's here. Reverend Rick is with us. Carol Delbon was our practitioner of the day. She's here. And Sue Ruda is our visiting practitioner. So our snowbird, I think it's an early spring for her, so we're glad to have her join us here at Lake Tahoe. But they're trained and licensed, and we know that prayer works, and it's one of the gifts that we have for you. And so if you have a challenge that you want to meet, or maybe you just want even more good in your life, either way, prayer is always a wonderful way to move in that direction. And for our closing song, we're going to have, again, our fun time singing Let There Be Peace on Earth with our guest choir director, Chris Law. Oh, and I think, we're going to do our affirmation slide first, but we'll do it after.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begin with me. Let this be the moments now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Family are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begin with me. Let this be the moments now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you, Chris. And Michael, do we have our affirmation? So if you would all join with me. My life is the embodiment of Spirit's highest idea of itself as me. And so it is.